meeting did not produce any major official outcome or unified decision, it was still an important one because it brought ministers together to one place to provide a sense of where the international community stands on the issue and a steer on where it could go. Now, positions still differ within the Council, but also it seems within the U.S. after the White House contradicted earlier comments from U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson about the U.S. being willing to meet with Pyongyang without preconditions. Had that been the case, it would have been a shift in U.S. policy, but the White House later said that that's not the case. So this is where America, or rather Tillerson, stands on this issue as of this session.
A sustained cessation of North Korea's threatening behavior must occur before talks can begin. North Korea must earn its way back to the table. The pressure campaign must and will continue until denuclearization is achieved.
Tillerson added that communication lines remain open for the U.S. and that the DPRK knows that that door towards talks also remains open. Now, where it comes to China's position, China reiterated its emphasis for diplomacy over sanctions, and that has been one of the more consistent messaging, if not the most consistent messaging that we've heard out of the Security Council over this issue. Chinese Ambassador Wu Haitao warned other member states to exercise restraint and refrain from provocative stances, and he also cautioned against taking unilateral action. Now, his comments come after Japan announced that it was expanding its sanctions against the DPRK, and as talks here in the U.S. intensify over the possibility of enforcing a naval blockade. Now, Ambassador Wu said that taking these kinds of tough positions could only escalate tensions or deepen divisions, and that they're not helpful.
The tough positions taken by the parties concerned can only escalate tension, deepen division, and decrease mutual trust, and therefore are not helpful to the security of all parties. The parties concerned should keep calm and exercise restraint to prevent the situation on the Korean Peninsula from worsening or getting out of control.
While many council members agree that sanctions could be strengthened, they also agree that there needs to be more of a priority in pursuing a diplomatic approach. And we already saw some of that play out in the last 2 weeks after the UN's political affairs chief Jeffrey Feltman visited the DPRK in what was the highest level UN visit in more than 5 years. We also saw Russia sending its second delegation in 2 weeks to the DPRK, ostensibly to pursue opportunities for dialogue. And even though the U.S. has issued contradictory statements from the White House and from Secretary of State Tillerson, they have not ruled out the possibility of a diplomatic option here. So as long as nuclear weapons are not fired at any member state or ballistic missiles launched at any regional member state, then there remains still a chance for diplomacy to work. Liling, CGTN, New York.